One of the most painful feelings in life is the feeling that nothing is changing. You practice, you work, you improve quietly, but the world around you looks exactly the same. The pianist plays for years before anyone applauds. The athlete trains for months before the stopwatch changes. The writer fills notebooks nobody reads. And eventually, a dangerous thought appears. What if all this effort means nothing? Pause. Because human beings can tolerate pain surprisingly well. But what breaks many people is invisible progress. The feeling that your effort is disappearing into silence. And strangely, physics may explain why this happens. Imagine an ice cube sitting in a cold room. At -5 degrees, it is frozen solid. Then the room slowly begins warming. -4, -3, -2, but the ice cube still looks exactly the same. Nothing visible changes. And yet, inside the cube, something important is happening. The molecules are absorbing energy, quietly, patiently, vibrating faster and faster beneath the surface. Science calls this a phase transition. For a long time, energy enters the system without visible results, and maybe human lives work the same way. Most people do not quit because they are weak. They quit because the mind struggles to trust invisible progress. When effort produces no immediate reward, the brain interprets silence as failure. Psychologists call this the plateau effect, the moment where growth is happening internally, but externally, everything appears unchanged. And that is the dangerous moment, because the ice cube is often changing the most right before it melts. But from the outside, it still looks frozen. So people leave too early. The athlete stops training. The artist stops creating. The student stops trying. The person rebuilding their life gives up one silent season too soon, not realizing they may have been standing at -1 degree, and then 0 degrees arrives.
The structure can no longer remain rigid. The ice begins to melt. Suddenly, the world sees change. People call it breakthrough, transformation, overnight success. But the truth is quieter than that. The breakthrough was never created in a single moment. It was built during all the invisible moments before it. Every silent effort, every lonely repetition, every frustrating day where nothing seemed to move. The final degree only revealed what the previous degrees had already prepared. Modern life has conditioned people to crave visible results. Likes, followers, money, recognition, anything that offers immediate proof. But real growth rarely announces itself while it is happening. Roots grow underground first. Muscles tear before they strengthen. Healing often feels worse before it feels peaceful. And invisible progress feels almost irrational because the mind wants certainty. It wants evidence. But many of the most important transformations in human life happen long before evidence appears. The mind simply cannot see it yet. Maybe resilience is not about constantly feeling motivated. Maybe resilience is continuing without visible reward, continuing while uncertain, continuing while unseen, continuing while frozen. Because people often imagine transformation as explosive, but most transformation is quiet. A person changes internally for years before the external world notices. And one day, what once felt impossible suddenly becomes natural, not because the change happened instantly, but because the invisible work finally became visible. So if your life feels frozen right now, do not assume nothing is happening. Some changes are invisible until the final moment. Some seasons are preparing you in silence. And one day, people may call your growth sudden. They will never see the invisible years that made it possible. But you will, and maybe that is enough. Outside the practice room door, a janitor pauses quietly. He says nothing. He simply stands still for a moment, listening. For the first time, someone notices. Not applause, not fame, just proof that the invisible years became audible. If this message found you at your own -1 degree, share it with someone who feels like giving up too early. And if you're willing, tell me in the comments, what is your -1 degree right now? What feels frozen, but you're still warming? Because sometimes naming it is the first invisible degree. Everything changes, but a mind that learns patience during invisible progress becomes very difficult to break. And if you choose to stay, welcome to the immutable mind. We are learning together.